Hey guys, welcome into the PuggoReborn channel. We are checking out the latest dev blog from OverHype Studios 140 New Origins for Blazing Deserts DLC. Now this is going to be very exciting. I've been waiting patiently for this in particular. I really wanted to see what they were going to come up with because it had to have been pretty unique, and these ones are pretty unique. In the description below, it's going to say, just as a heads up, in the description below, it's going to have all the timestamps, my reading, also it's going to have my thoughts and opinions at the very end, and also there are some other little tidbit things. If you guys want to check out my latest videos, I have 3 different videos here. PuggoRedemption and I ended up doing top 10 most valuable recruits, and then also a long discussion. If you really just have time, you want to sit down, or you're playing a game, you just want to hear it in the background, you can check that out below as well. What else here? No, I did not already say this. So I will be letting you guys choose what you want to see in early access. I did get early access if you haven't heard that already, and you guys are going to vote for me here. Do you guys want to see the Southern Mercenaries? Do you want to see the slave drivers? Or the Gladiators? If you guys want to see that, just leave a comment below saying the what you want to see. And then also, if you guys don't want to leave a comment so it blows up like crazy, you can always like somebody's comment. I will also be taking that as well, and we will do a campaign based on the results. Without further ado, let's get it right. Let's dive right on in. So the upcoming Blazing Deserts DLC will introduce new Southern themed company origins for you to pick from. This week we are taking a closer look at all of these. Just keep in mind that things are in development and specifics may still change. Let's go. The Southern Mercenaries. This is the Southern variant of a new company quick start. It's well suited for both Southern themed playthrough and for checking out right away many of the new things found in the South. Beautiful, very beautiful. Just as with the Northern quick start, you will start with 3 companions. They're Southerners, however, with Southern gear and starting right next to one of the city states. Where do you go from, or where to go from here is your choice. Will you fight in the arenas, work for viziers in the city, or will you travel north? The slave drivers. If you prefer to overwhelm your enemies with superior numbers, then the commander you're playing is as ruthless as enough not to mind using. Oh my goodness. And the commander you're playing as is ruthless enough not to mind using expendable troops, then this offers a fresh campaign experience loosely based on the historic slaves armies in the Middle East. You can have a company of expendable slaves that don't get paid in crowns instead of relying on expendable sellswords that you cannot afford to lose. You'll start with 2 slave drivers, 4 slaves, and you can take up to 16 men into battle. Winning battles against human opponents will allow you to press any survivors into fighting for you in order to bolster your ranks as you go. And you also can just buy slaves in the city-states. They're treated harshly in your company, however, gaining experience at only half the normal rate and never surviving with a permanent injury if struck down. All those who are not slaves in your company gain a unique skill called Whip Slave, which instantly resets the morale of any slaves within 3 tile range to steady and gives them a whip status effect. With a forceful reminder to give them everything, to give their everything for the masters, up to and including their lives, these slaves gain substantial bonuses in combat, the exact amount of which scales with the level of the character doing the whipping. Your men expect slaves to do very heavy lifting, and if there should ever be less slaves than non-slaves in your company, their men will become dissatisfied. Some northerner backgrounds will also take offense to the slavery and will not fit in your company, lest you deal with it in events. Rather than having a tightly knit team of experienced mercenaries, this origin promotes having a small team of slave drivers of any background you want. Slave drivers. Hold up. This origin promotes small team of slave drivers of any background you want. I did not catch this when I was reading through this before. I just want to get that out of the way now. That is very interesting. An amassed expendable of troops to drown the enemies in numbers and to distract them. Because slaves get substantial bonuses for being whipped into line, Even a fresh slave can instantly become a valuable asset, and lost slaves can easily be replaced. Essentially, as long as you keep your non-slaves alive and level them, they can uplift their slaves to their level. Should a slave happen to survive long enough to gather experience and become good on their own, that's a bonus. And you can always decide to whether to grant a particular slave their freedom. Holy crap, that is cool. maybe not highlighting everything on the screen, but whatever. The Gladiators, a different take on a popular lone wolf origin. This origin has you start not with a hedge knight, but with 3 experienced gladiators. Once an unbeaten team in the arena, now starting a life as mercenaries. Your 3 gladiators are now the very core of your company. Each of your 3 gladiators comes well equipped with an experience. Like a team of bare-breasted superheroes, each one of them brings their own unique perk, and see, this is interesting. Unique perk, remember that aids them in combat and opens up new strategy. They are the team. Holy crap, I cannot speak, guys. Everyone else you hire is just there to support them and make them look good. Spoiled by adoring fans and expensive lifestyle, they demand a high pay right away from the start. Even though they will never desert you and they cannot be... you cannot fire them. They will suck the coffers dry with expensive spa visits and buying jewelry that spells their name. And if you don't ensure a steady... hold on a second. Buying jewelry that spells their name if you don't ensure steady cash flow. That's interesting. I wonder if there's like a tab for that. Anyways, playing this origin, you essentially have 3 lives. Should all 3 gladiators die, the company will be left without their icons and dissolve, and the campaign will end. And because this origin only ever allows you to have 12 men in your roster, there's no putting them in the back line without leaving you at a disadvantage. Despite starting out with very strong characters, this origin is a challenge at best for experienced players that know what they're doing. Okay, so that was a lot there. There was a lot of good information. Let's go to the very top real quick. First off, just keep in mind that it's still in development and things are there's still a chance for change is really what this is right now. And I think that's fair because there's a lot of unique in these origins. So without further ado, the Southern Mercenaries, really it's just this. My only thought for this is that if you're new to the game and you bought all of the DLC, this is just going to be a flavorful change up for you. You can try this if you want to just start a random campaign. If you're a veteran and you just want to do something fun, just start out in the south or the north. That's where you come from. That's pretty much what it says. Cool, right? All right, so now then there's the slave drivers. Now the slave drivers are probably the most interesting to me. Is it my favorite? I don't know. I think so. I actually think it is. It's a very close call with the gladiators, of course. But here's the big thing with the slave drivers, right? You can get slaves, and it says that they have their own. The slave drivers have their own. They're their own people. So like maybe there's like a hedge knight slave driver or something. I'm not 100% sure. But the main thing is you have 2 of them, 4 slaves. The slaves are not that great, but they do get some serious bonuses from being whipped in combat. You have to be within 3 tiles of the slave in any direction, and they get a bonus. Now they can be formidable is what the game is already or what this dev blog is saying already. Now the cool thing is when they get to a certain point, you can actually grant them their freedom as talked about right down here. So if you do find a slave, the question I have about the slave is, do we actually get to see their background? Like, are they a beast slayer slave? Are they a tailor slave? What are we really dealing with? Now, are their stats going to be comparable to the beggar or a cripple? Because if they are, it's pretty much having a team of fodder and then being able to give them some bonuses, like almost a morale bonus. You know how if you have higher resolve, you get the 10-15% bonus? Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is that what it's going to be like? Obviously, speculation says that it's got to be some sort of bonus beyond just steady, because steady is just... You're not wavering, but you're not blowing the horn either excited. The other thing too that's really interesting is as you go north, the northern people can actually resent you, which begs the question: how big is the South? Is the South literally the size of the North? Because that is going to be insane. I cannot even tell you guys how excited I am to actually see the geographical map of Battle Brothers after this DLC, because it's got to be pretty darn big. The other thing too with these guys, as it's talking about, is really if you have too many brothers over slaves, then there could be some sort of uprising or some sort of negative thing that happens. Mercenaries won't like you as much, or they'll probably want to leave. So there's definitely that. I think that for me, that is so, I don't know, it's just unique. It's really cool. I can't wait to see what this actually entails. There's going to be a lot of trial and error going on through this gameplay. But I just feel like I can't remember who it was on the channel. If you remember, if you commented before on this, we talked about being like a slave driver. And one of the big things that you said was, I want to be like a slave freer, right? You want to free the slaves. That is cool, and I think you could probably pull it off so long as you don't have a bunch of slaves in your party. Maybe you have like a few slaves, but that's all to be seen. At that point, you might as well just have a band of normal mercenaries. And finally, the Gladiators. Oh, the Gladiators. Now, this is interesting. Lone Wolf was one of my favorite origins because there was different ways to do it and very effective ways. Some people do it where they literally go to level 11 and then they buy their first recruit. Some people do it where they actually buy 2 other recruits that they're really solid on. Some would say, like, one of the things that I remember was, like, me and the Squire. I always have, like, Squires, right? Squires are my, well, you'll find out in the top 10 video. But if you end up getting a Squire with a Hedge Knight, and you get, like, even if you had 2 Squires, you can do a lot of damage and they scale really well. So I know that was one of the other strategies. You build 3 guys. 3 guys can handle a lot of different diversified enemies, and eventually they can get to level 11 actually fairly quickly. The other thing too is the Lone Wolf was just it was meant for that hard scaling, really only having 12 men in your party. It mirrors this. Now, this is where I'm curious. It's 3 experienced gladiators, so I imagine it's going to be like level 5 is where you're going to start with these gladiators, and they're going to have very, very comparable stats to the Hedge Knight. Something tells me, though, they might be better than Hedge Knights, because Hedge Knights don't demand an insane amount of pay. Though another Hedge Knight, they could kill each other. If you have a good monk in your party, it can negate that. But these guys are pretty much like, they're going to eat your crowns. So I'm already not a huge fan of sellswords, I'll admit that, because they constantly ask for more money. They have a steep price. They don't always have a steep price in terms of just straight up buying them, but over 100 days you're looking at 4,000 to 5,000 crowns depending on the leveling. But these guys make me feel like they're going to be just straight up 50 crowns a day. So that's 150 crowns a day to have these guys. I'm just assuming. And then if they don't have a steady income, then they're going to want more. They're going to have more cash flow. So one of these bastards, I call them bastards because it's already frustrating me just a little bit, but has buying jewelry that spells their name. And I had to reread this because I wasn't sure what it was exactly saying or how it was saying it. The expensive spa visits are just going to happen as random events. But it says buying jewelry. Oops. Let's try that again. Buying jewelry that spells their name if you don't ensure steady cash flow. So does that mean if we don't make enough money, or they have an expectation of you need to always have 4,000 crowns? Otherwise, this could happen. That would make sense to me. But we'll have to see. We'll just have to see how it pulls out. But other than that, despite starting out with very strong characters, is best suited for experienced players, probably because the money side of it is going to dip hard. So whatever you do when you pick these guys, I imagine it's going to be go hard or go home. That's got to be what it is. And I wonder if like a Hedge Knight actually has a chance to fight. And the final thing I want to bring up about this was they said that they have unique stats. Let's hear. Gladiators come well equipped. They're well equipped and experienced, like a team of bare-breasted bare-breasted superheroes. Each one of them brings their own unique perk. Guys, something inside of me is going to... I feel like they're going to add new perks to the game. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you. I am 100% sure that they have been talked to about their perks not being enough. Some perks we've all agreed on need some reworking. For instance, dodge being at 15% in terms of your melee defense. That's just not enough. It's just not. And they tried to fix it with relentless. It just doesn't work as well. And so people don't take that route very often. Now, this unique perk says that will aid them in combat. It opens up new synergy. Oh, I said strategies. It's synergies. My apologies, guys. But either way, different synergies. There can't be more synergy unless there's different perks. And guys, I guarantee, obviously they're going to have new traits, but new synergy with perks has to be new perks. It's got to be unique perks. They didn't say new brings unique perks, new and unique perks. They're just saying unique perks. It's got to be like a Easter egg type of thing. All right, I'm beating it into the ground. Point is, I think that the Gladiators are going to be very difficult, but also can hit the ground running way faster than any other group of mercenaries, and that excites me if we were to go that route. But I do love this is very, very intriguing to me as well. So I don't care. Either way, I'm all in. Now, let's move on to the second part of this whole thing, guys. I did get early access. I will be giving away 3 copies of the DLC to everyone once early access is over. So if you haven't subscribed, this is a great time to subscribe and join the channel. I'll be giving it away to a subscriber. Let me know that you're interested in the game, of course. And when I get to 300 subscribers, I'll be giving away the full game, everything included, if you don't have the game already. Now, let's say you have the game. You don't want me to buy this for you. Well, I can still do a gift card of some sort on Steam. So if you do want to enter in for that, by all means, let me know as well. And then finally, I was talking about it earlier. I have a top 10 video, 3 top 10 videos. One's a long discussion, really going into depth as to why we feel a certain way, PuggoRedemption and I. And PuggoRedemption has a top 10 video on the channel. You can check that out in the link below. And then also, I have my quick discussion as well, a short version, if you will. You can check that out as well down there. The final thing, there's one last thing. I'm sorry I'm burning your ear out here. If you're still with me, I have a new series that is out. It is the it's Battle Hounds. Check that out. It's actually been a bit of a struggle thus far. You don't know that, but it is a bit of a struggle, and I'm excited to push it a little farther than that. So, without further ado, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye!